Favorite night here at the second year production studios. Tonight it's Western Province Sports and GT Masters. For those of you that don't know, there's been a slight change in the way that the calendar is laid out, but we're going to give you that information a little bit later on. Joining me tonight in the second year studio, down here in Velgelegen in Cape Town, the voice of West Province Motorsport, Frankie Yennis, and the man that's going to be down at Killarney International Raceway on Saturday morning as well for the next round of the Power Series. Frankie, welcome to Velgelegen, welcome to Second Gear Production Studios, and welcome to the Hungaroring in the Radical SR8s.
Yeah, that is going to be awesome stuff. Hello, everybody. It's the Formula One circuit that they still use there in Hungary. And the Formula One drivers will tell you, which will be different for these cars, that you can overtake in turn one only. Obviously, with these Radical SR8 sports cars, it'll be a lot different. So, yeah, we're going to be in with some entertaining stuff as the 10-minute qualifying session starts. And the first man out on track there is a 777 Penzol car of Peter Hubert.
Frankie, I opened specifically with him because Peter Hubert has pretty much run Raymond Duggan on iRacing in South Africa in the last 6-7 months. In fact, without giving too much away, on the practice session that has happened in the last hour up until now, he in fact locked out the front row of the grid with Johan Ferry, and that locking out Francois Hubert and the likes of Luc Lequezi. Let's not put the commentator's curse on him, but I think that's a man we're going to have to watch with this specific car on this specific track on this specific evening.
Yeah, it seemed to suit him. The car track combination does. There was a time that all the Huberts were pretty high up as we ride with Captain Peter van der Spey. He's been away for a while, and nice to see Captain Pete back out there again. Willem Botha, and he's got this lovely American flag style color scheme and livery on that SR8 Radical of his. Car looking very nice. That's Ian Riddle in the DHL car number 1, busy making his way around. And then we go back to Peter van der Spey as he goes through. So a couple of more drivers to come around. Times haven't come through yet. That's the old warhorse himself, Johan Ferry, in the Monster Energy Radical.
Jaco Steyn out there as well, and we've seen Jaco Steyn do some blitz laps at different circuits recently. Nice to have him out there tonight, because next week it's hard work for him when we come back to you with the next round of the GT3 Championship for 2023 under the auspices of MSA. So 1 minute 38.366. We have seen some 1 minute 37s already, but the guys are obviously putting in one solid lap first of all to make sure that they get there. Luc Lequezi, Mr. Momo Luc Lequezi, is out there on the front row of the grid. A 138.347, only 18 thousandths of a second. But the other man that in the practice session was also up there in the top 4, Francois Hubert, in his favorite black and white colors.
Yeah, Francois currently in that third position, 300ths off Luc Lequezi. Ferry is 100th off Lequezi. There is Peter Hubert, he's 3/10ths off Luc Lequezi, currently finding himself in P4. Timothy Stanton, 1.3 seconds off Luc Lequezi in that 5th position. Raymond Duggan, 1.6 off Lequezi, so far occupying P6. Stephen McCarthy, well, he's 2 seconds off Luc Lequezi, so far in provisional P7. And then the DHL car, 4.6 off Lequezi, is Ian Riddle, currently in that now 9th position, as P8 has been pipped there from him by Stephen McCarthy.
Yep, and Willem Botha pops up onto the third row of the grid provisionally, having done his first fastest lap. In fact, the front 8 guys there have all got A licenses, from Ian Riddle down through to Eugene Minuk and René Hubert. In fact, I've got B licenses as such. Luke Lucchesi locks out the front row of the grid with Johan Fourie. Peter Hubert climbs in there as Sandro Bakari. Good evening, Mr. Bakari. I trust you are feeling well this evening.
In the Sunoco car, busy working his way around, currently there in that 4th position with a personal best time there for Sandro Bakari. But it's all about Fourie, Lucchesi, Peter Hubert, Sandro Bakari, Francois Hubert currently there in P5, followed there by Willem Botha. There's Peter van der Spey, 1.6 off the new pole sitter, and that's Johan Fourie. Timothy Stanton in the 69 Radical, working his way around. So far 1.7 off Fourie, and he's in that 9th position.
Steve McCarthy in a pretty similar looking motor car, 1.9. That's just 0.2 of a second, the difference there. Surprisingly, Jaco Steyn only finds him, I say only because we're getting accustomed to Jaco Steyn being higher up on the grid, but the time gap, he must have made a mistake first time around. Willem Botha putting up a personal best and going just a little bit quicker, but holds onto that second row of the grid. I wouldn't be surprised if Jaco Steyn, if he's got enough practice in, comes in just a little bit higher up than that 11th position. As you can see at the bottom of the screen, Luke Lucchesi's on a flyer.
So let's see if Steyn can get higher than P11. Crosses the line. Yep, P7. And 136.9 for Luke Lucchesi. He is provisional pole. Now, Johan did a 136.66 in free practice, and he's currently a 1/10 of a second off Lucchesi in that 2nd position.
Now, as we said, Peter Hubert, keep an eye on him because he was the 2nd fastest in the practice session earlier on, and finds himself in a rather commanding situation. The man that's out of sync with where we would expect him to be is this man, Francois Hubert. You would tend to find he's pretty much on the same pace as Luke Lucchesi, backslash Johan Fourie in general. Very, very consistent, but 1.3 off the fastest time, and I'm sure he's going to put at least, if nothing goes wrong, at least a second quicker is possible for that man.
Well, let's stick with him as he's heading towards the end of the lap. He's got that longish straight.
It looks a bit desperate, the run that he's on at the moment. I think he's under pressure.
I think so. Going into that right-hander. Now working his way towards the 2nd last corner here at the Hungaroring. Through that last corner. Currently there in P6. Pit lane on the right-hand side. Coming up to the final turn. We've got to take it very easy through this corner. And a new pole sitter. That is Johan Fourie. Oh. Now let's see. Can Francois move up from P6? Yep, 1 position into P5.
Well, that was obviously his 2nd flyer, and on 8 minutes 42, 1 minute 36, there's not enough time left for him to do another lap out there, so that's as far as he's going to go. Peter Hubert, well, there you see where he is out on circuit. I don't think he'll be able to complete another lap from there. He's too far away. Yep, he's also staying down. Where's Willem Botha? Willem Botha will be able to make... well, he's on the 2nd row of the grid, and he's going to have to go literally a half a second quicker to be able to get onto the front row of the grid. That's going to be one hell of a big ask for him to be able to do that one. Peter van der Spey still out there, and well done, Captain Pete, back out there, and finds himself provisionally on the 3rd row of the grid so far.
So, yep, Willem Botha heading towards the final corner. He'll be able to complete this lap. Let's see if he can get higher than that 4th position.
I think it's a tall order. That is a hell of a tall order. You've got to find almost 5/10.
Nope, stays in P4.
Yep, that's the way it's going to be. So 9 seconds to go. Just about everybody has completed their laps. It's still Eugene Manouk that is out there, but he's not going to make it to the start-finish line in time. And the other man out there is Renier Hubert. No. Oh,
that's bad luck.
Yeah, that was not nice whatsoever. It's one of those things. So let's have a look how the grid looks at this stage of the fight. It's going to be Johan Fourie from Luke Lucchesi on the front row of the grid.
Row 2, Pieter Joubert and Willem Botha. Row 3, Francois Joubert, Peter van der Spey. Row 4, Timothy Stanton and Sandro Bakari.
Yep, that's going to be a pretty decent starting position there for Sandro and Timothy, ahead of Raymond Duggan and Jaco Steyn. Just for the fact that they find themselves ahead of those two, a shout out to Timothy Stanton and Sandro Bakari, because Raymond Duggan and Jaco Steyn, you've got to get up pretty early on a Wednesday morning to be able to beat them.
Swys Joubert and Steve McCarthy, Ian Riddle, Herman Lazarus, Eugene Manouk, Rainier Joubert and Robbie Teens at the back. As the lights go off, 45 minutes, there's chaos already as they race down into turn number 1, and the 88 car of Jaco Steyn was involved in that one, but he's still out there on circuit just behind that mid-pack. But at this point in time, it is all about Johan Fourie, Luc Lequesi, Pieter Joubert. There is Jaco Steyn, he sits there behind the Oreo car. And that is a Swys Joubert, and Luc Lequesi is gone.
Yep.
Luc Lequesi is gone. We just picked that up. Lequesi dropping all the way down to P13.
Oh, it's going to be very difficult to catch up. You can see he's third from the back of the pack by the looks of it. And that's the Momo car. So, a little bit of heavy contact there, and that's going to cause a bit of problems. That was Sandro Bakari that's involved with that one. There's Luc Lequesi. He's got a whole lot of cars in front of him. He's pretty quick at getting through the pack, but yeah, you've got to make sure that you don't touch anybody on the way through. Going back to the front end of the field, it's Johan Fourie in his favorite colors, and the man that we pipped, Frankie, before at the top end of the program to be the man to watch tonight, Pieter Joubert in the 777 Pennzoil.
Yeah, he's right up there. That situation earlier on was between Sandro Bakari and Jaco Steyn. Jaco Steyn jumped straight back to the pit area. Willem Botha sitting there in that third position. There's the intervals coming up. We'll put the battle box up for you soon. Then you've got more information to see what we are seeing. And Francois Joubert, it's a tenth of a second behind Willem Botha. There is Ian Riddle having a look up on the inside of Lequesi, but I think it might be more Lequesi that's made the move there on Ian Riddle. And right behind him is the number 5 car of Rainier Joubert.
Francois Joubert all over the back of Willem Botha, and well, it's a difficult spot to try and get through there. This will be 2 gears down and into this long looping left-hander. You've got to get across the left-hand side very quickly so you can get the hammer down flatly from there. You can use a lot of that curbstone on the outside, but there is a piece of sausage curb right on the outside. So you've got to be really on top of your game if you want to hold on flat foot at that position over there. Rainier Joubert on the back of Ian Riddle.
Yeah, Rainier Joubert sitting out there in P12. Ian Riddle just ahead of him. Behind them, we have got, he slides it all over the place. That is Herman Lazarus. Lazarus is right there. Rainier and Herman fighting. Herman right off the circuit, trying a bit too hard to get past Rainier Joubert, who is 3/10 of a second behind Ian Riddle for P11 and 12. Timothy Stanton makes contact with Peter van der Spey. Van der Spey got sent shunting there for a while and lost that position to Timothy Stanton.
Timothy Stanton not saying a word, just keeping his foot on the accelerator and getting past Peter van der Spey. Peter backs out of that one, doesn't want to have contact with the next car coming through there. That's Raymond Duggan. Now remember, Raymond Duggan didn't qualify where you would have expected him, where he would have expected to be either. So he's definitely going to be one of the guys on the move. Peter van der Spey's got damage. Peter van der Spey's into the pits.
Yeah, that contact caused damage and he jumped back there to the pit area. There's Swys Joubert in the Oreo car. Sandro Bakari sitting up there. Here comes Ian Riddle, and diving up there is Rainier Joubert. Rainier Joubert on the inside there and makes the move stick there on Ian Riddle.
It was a pretty nice placement that he did there. Luc Lequesi a little bit further forward, starting to close up now on Sandro Bakari. Sandro Bakari and Timothy Stanton, that both had very decent grid positions going into this race, so they'll both be quite upbeat with that one. You'd expect Luc Lequesi to run further forward from where he is now, but all the easy passes have been made from here on out. It's not going to be a double in the park.
No, it certainly won't be, that's for sure, but it's all over the back of the Sunoco car of Sander Bakari, who just opened the door and allowed him to go through. And I'm sure that Luke would be saying thank you very much there to Bakari. He's now just under a second behind Raymond Duggan in car 71. There you see him. Ahead of him is Sway Schubert, and ahead of Sway Schubert is Timothy Stanton. So these three cars you see on screen now will be caught pretty soon by that red number 17 Mama outfit of Luke Lucchesi.
Well, if you look at that one, Sway Schubert all over the
Lucchesi
back
goes in
there.
the pits. Sorry, Gary.
Well, that's probably... Look, he did say that there is going to be a single pit stop that you're going to have to make because of the amount of laps, because of the amount of fuel. And you'll probably find, knowing Luke who actually set it up, will know that if you make it a very big pit window, it just makes for so much more interesting stuff. And that's probably why it's possible for him to go in at this point. If he has to go in again, well, then he's out of it. There's no ways, because Johan Fourie has just up, ducked and disappeared at the front end of the pack. Well done, Peter Hubert, still in that second.
Both Huberts, Peter and Francois, second and third. There's Peter Hubert, 1.2 behind Johan Fourie. The monster car being chased there by the Pennzoil car. Then through comes Francois Hubert. Behind him there is Willem Botha, 1.8 behind Francois Hubert. Then Sway Schubert coming through. He's ahead there of Timothy Stanton. Stanton there in that sixth position, just under a second behind Sway's. And then we've got the Sunoco car of Sander Bakari in P7, 2 seconds behind Stanton.
Yep, a little bit further back, there you see the next battle. That's Raymond Duggan, who's up into 8th, but that's still nowhere near where he would like to be. I somehow think he hasn't had enough time to practice on this circuit to be the normal all-conquering scenario that he normally puts down there. Renier Hubert just a second further back, and then it's Ian Riddle and Steve McCarthy that's getting a whole lot closer there as well.
Oh, that's a lovely fight for P10. Riddle finds himself in P10, but he's got a couple of cars in there behind him, McCarthy and Lazarus, as Lazarus gets it wrong going into that final corner, so that will cost him some track time there. He'll lose out heavily because the Mountain Dew car ahead of him of McCarthy will just keep on going, of Sujin Properties and SS Racing. So the man of cheapercars.co.za lost a lot of ground there to the two ahead of him.
Here is the answer why Raymond Duggan is in the situation that he is. We would have expected him to be higher up, and also climbing on the loud pedal on turn 14 just a little bit too hard and a little bit too quick, and doing the exact same situation there. Two different drivers, two different cars, exact same corner. Let's see what happened earlier on to Luke Lucchesi. He was running in second position ahead of Hubert in the Pennzoil car, and behind Fourie. Just a little bit too hard, and that's what drifted him wide, and that was the beginning of the end of that. So let's go back to the front end of the field. It is Johan Fourie that's got a 1.7 gap between himself and Peter Hubert, who's having one of his best races, and as once again consistent races. Look at that, he's right in there. He's the only one that's actually tracking Johan Fourie at this stage of the fight. Everybody else is falling further back.
Well, we did say earlier on, there's a personal best there for Peter Hubert, Francois Hubert and Willem Botha, but we did say earlier on that the car driver combination and the track combo suits Peter, and he's not doing half bad there in P2, just under 2 seconds behind Johan Fourie. There's Raymond Duggan in P8 for Rad Racing, and just behind him is Renier Hubert in the Doritos car, busy working his way around.
Yep, behind that Ian Riddle and Steve McCarthy. Slightly different colors for Steve McCarthy. I don't think we've ever seen him. Okay, that is obviously the proverbial Mountain Dew colors, but I don't believe we've ever actually seen him in those kind of colors. Having said that, fastest lap just gets put down there by Luke Lucchesi. Let's go and have a look and see who has done pit stops and who has not done pit stops up to date. you'll probably find that Luke Batiste is going to be the leading man that has been into the pits. Peter van der Spy, remember, he had contact, so that's why he went into pits. Jaco Steyn had contact, that's why he went into the pits. And I think that they might have been in a little bit too early to be able to stay out right until the end. Although Luke Batiste, lap number 3, lap number 2, Peter van der Spy, Jaco Steyn, lap number 1, that might, Frankie, just mean that all of them are out of the game because they're going to have to go and do another pit stop thereafter. The man of the moment, Johan Vereen.
Yeah, it's just under 2 seconds, or now just over 2 seconds ahead of Peter Hubert, who was 3.7 ahead of Francois. Then Willem Botha coming through. There's Swys Hubert in the Oreo car. Timothy Stanton, and he has got Sandro Bakari in there behind him. Raymond Duggan coming through. Rainier Hubert in the Doritos car coming through. Ian Riddle, and right on his case is Stephen McCarthy as they work their way into turn number 1. Herman Lazarus, and then nearly 11 seconds behind him in P13. He's the man that just puts up the quickest lap, 137.255. That is Luke Lucchesi.
That is very, very quick. Let's just have a look at some of the best lap times that's been put up by the different drivers. A 37.255. The front 4 that is out on circuit have all broken the 38-second barrier. 37.4, 37.4, 37.6. So 37.4, that means 2/10 quicker, but Frankie, 10 seconds just to get to the back of Herman Lazarus, and that only puts you in the top dozen. He's got one hell of a fight to go further forward from here.
Well, all he must do right now is just calm it down, relax, keep on going. He has made a pit stop. If it's going to work for him, you shouldn't have to stop again.
Calm it down. You're talking about Luke Lucchesi. He only knows one thing, flatfoot. There's nothing else.
Yeah, but you've got to just throw. Oh, that is
Sandro Bakari.
No,
it wasn't.
The car that spun around, that was the Doritos car that spun around, as we see Sandro Bakari going up there on the inside of. We'll have a look and see. That's Rainier Hubert. Yes, the Dorito car that lost the tail end going into that right-hander.
Yep, we've seen a couple of people spin it around at that specific point. Going back to that battle that you were talking about, Sandro Bakari, Timothy Stanton, nothing much between them. The 72 car of Sandro Bakari. And they changed the positions, they changed lanes at that stage of the fight, and that's what made the difference between the two of them. Sandro now getting himself 4/10 of a second gap there on a Timothy Stanton. But the question still remains. Oh, look, Luke Lucchesi. We said just now 10, was it 12 seconds? He's down to 8.3 seconds off Herman Lazarus.
Sandro Bakari is still there in that 6th position, being hassled there by Timothy Stanton, not quite getting away from Stanton as we thought he would. But here we go, Rainier Hubert all over the back end there of Stephen McCarthy. He's right on the case of Ian Riddle. McCarthy runs wide, and Rainier Hubert in the Doritos car says thank you very much.
Frankie,
I will just work my way up to P10.
Do you think he opened up because he couldn't stay the pace and didn't want to have contact, or do you think he just ran it a bit wide?
I think he ran wide.
Oh.
I think he just made a slight error there. There's no reason for him to open the door, so I think he just ran a bit wide. A slight mistake.
So pit stops, the fastest man, well, the highest man up the ranking. Should they be able to go to the end is Luke Lucchesi from Peter van der Spy, and then Jaco Steyn. I'm going to hazard a guess that having gone in the first 3 laps, all 3 of them, that they're going to have to do an extra pit stop. But that's just my way of looking at it. Let's have a look, Frankie, at the gains and losses.
Well, I'll tell you what, as we have a look at that, Swys Hubert has gone up 6, Rainier has gone up 6, Luke Lucchesi has gone down 11, Van der Spy has gone down 11. So having a look at this train that's heading into turn number 1, Rainier Hubert is right in there just behind Ian Riddle, and behind him is Stephen McCarthy. And the two of them are having a go at Riddle's P9.
14 minutes of the 45, so that's basically that you've done a third of the race up until now. Have a look at this one. This is ground level. There's a blind rise. You go in there. one gear down, or you stay where you are, but then you're in very low revs. Running it right off on the outside. That was Renier Hubert. You've got to carry as much speed as what you possibly can through here. This one, you just go 2 gears down, use as much curbstone as you can there. You can't use much on the inside because there's a 90-degree sausage curb. Just feather it all the way through. The main thing is to get a good run coming out here. That's where you've seen a couple of the people that have actually spun the back end around, and this complex of lefts and rights. Now you work your way down towards an easy marker, which is that hoarding that you see right in front of you, and that makes it one of the easier corners to go into. Now you work your way right towards the outside of the circuit, just touching on the end of the pavement. It's a blind rise all the way around. You need to eventually end up on the left-hand side of the circuit, right over there, to be able to do a late apex on the that was very close, and get the hammer down as quick as possible onto the longest straight that there is out there, and then you work your way through the gearbox past the start-finish line.
Gary, I noticed something there. Stephen McCarthy, when he went through that final corner, he went to that corner in second gear, then changed to third. In practice earlier on, while we were riding aboard with Johan Fourie, he went through that corner in third gear and then hooked fourth. So interesting to see the different strategies that the drivers have got with their gear changing.
Confidence, bravery, practice.
I think confidence.
I think so too.
Confidence. I think people like Fourie was just... I'm not saying that Stephen isn't confident, but I think that Johan might have been a bit more confident by going through there in that third gear during the practice session.
Just past the third of the way through the race, Johan Fourie in the monster car, the Monster Radical SR8, leads them out. There's the man in second position, Pieter Hubert, who started in the front 2 rows of the grid. Dennis Francois Hubert and Willem Botha that is on his way out into the front main. That's Willem Botha. 4 seconds behind him. We might just catch it in the same camera shot. Yes, we do. There is Swayze Hubert, Sandra Bakari just outside of the top 5. Good run by Sandra Bakari. Then it is Raymond Duggan, has not been able to really recover from not too great a qualifying as opposed to his standards. Timothy Stanton in that 8th position. Then our main circuit racer from Aldous Scribanti out in Port Elizabeth, that is Ian Riddle, and behind him in the uncustomary Mountain Dew livery and colours, rounding out the top 10 is Stephen McCarthy.
Yeah, Herman Lazarus, and here comes Luke Lucchesi up on the inside, and Lucchesi will move through to 11th position, working his way out of turn number 1. He'll now go after the man in P10, namely Steve McCarthy. Already you can see that Lucchesi is getting away there under Lazarus. He is, after all, the quickest man out there. He's Lucchesi for Pantera Racing and Race Driver SA, and he is certainly going after the Shajin Properties and SS Racing man. Stephen McCarthy, who's out there with a Mountain Dew colour scheme on his Radical SR8.
If you look at the lap time for Luke Lucchesi, his last lap, a 1:38.1, as opposed to Herman Lazarus on a 1:41, that's 3 seconds. Remember, the first time we spoke about it, there was 12 seconds, then there was 10 seconds, then there was 8 seconds as Johan Fourie does a 1:37.194. That's the fastest out there. But Luke Lucchesi on a 38.1 as opposed to Stephen McCarthy. That is a brilliant run with Pieter Hubert that is off into the pits. So the first of the big hitters, apart from Luke Lucchesi that went in right at the beginning, it's now gone into the pits. What does Sandro Bakari do? He goes straight through. What does Raymond Duggan do? Raymond Duggan goes straight through as well. So he has not kicked off a series of events where everybody's going into the pits at this stage of the fight. But it is an indicator, Frankie, that this could be the beginning of the real window, not what happened with the guys that had a bit of contact earlier on.
Behind Timothy Stanton, there's a lovely fight going on. That's Ian Riddle, Luke Lucchesi, Steve McCarthy. Here we
that's
go.
Going to cost.
That's the one. And then Pieter Hubert joins them. Now remember, he's just come out of the pit area as Pieter Hubert, and he rejoins in P11 behind this. Now this is not exactly what Pieter Hubert wanted. He wanted a clear track ahead of him, And instead of getting a clear track ahead of him, he gets this fight now between the three of them. And Lucchese has gone through there on Riddle. So, yeah, good for Luke Lucchese, not good for Peter Hubert. He didn't want to pick up this train of cars.
But keep in mind that if Luke Lucchese's got to go back into the pits, that then means that he is in a very, very good position. Because if you look at the pit lap that they went in, Peter van der Spey and Jaco Steyn, lap number 1. Lap number 3, Luke Lucchese. Is the window that big? I'm going to say no. Peter going in on lap number 11, which is almost halfway into the race, he definitely does not need to go back in again.
Well, there we go. He's all over the back. That is Peter Hubert of the Stephen McCarthy car. And Stephen goes very wide into that corner. That's the second last corner. And he must be very careful he doesn't lose that position. But catching the three of them is Herman Lazarus. Here he comes out that final corner. So it's Ian Riddle, Peter Hubert, Steve McCarthy, Herman Lazarus, all racing down towards turn number 1. And here comes Peter Hubert, and into turn 1 takes that position away there from Ian Riddle.
He's on the move, and that means he's got no traffic between himself. You just saw Luke Lucchese going past there on the left-hand side. So he's got open track now between himself and Luke Lucchese. 3.5 is the gap between Peter Hubert and Luke Lucchese, the two guys highest up in the pecking order right now who have done a pit stop already. Remember that gap, 3.5. It's going to be an indicator towards the end if Luke Lucchese doesn't have to go back into the pits again.
So Lucchese getting away from this lot. Peter Hubert is going with him. Riddle is 9/10 of a second behind him. That should get to a second pretty soon as Stephen McCarthy loses the circuit a bit, and he's 1.2 there behind Riddle. Riddle just over a second behind Peter Hubert. So Peter not quite getting away from Ian Riddle as quick as what he thought he might.
Directly behind him, that's what is coming up from behind. That's Stephen McCarthy that we're riding on board with. Oh, look at the flames coming out there. Gonna have to do a bit of fuel checks on these guys afterwards. It's Herman Lazarus, 0.7 of a second in there behind him. Cheapercars.co.za is in the house.
And he's chasing down this Regime Property SS Racing car number 18 in P11 of Steve McCarthy as they work their way around that final corner. Ahead of them is the number 1 car of Ian Riddle, and getting away from all of them in P9 is a 777 car of Peter Hubert.
Yeah, Peter Hubert is doing a pretty decent job. Now remember what we said, what was the gap? It was 3.5 between Peter Hubert and Luke Lucchese, both of them having sunshine and open road in front of them. There you see Luke Lucchese on going out of the right hand side of the screen. There's Peter Hubert, 4.2. So if we have a look at the last lap times that they were out there, you're probably going to find that's where the difference is coming. Luke Lucchese a 37.2, a 38.2, 1 second quicker on the last lap, both of them in open air. That's only over 1 lap. Let's see what happens at the end of the next lap. Was that just a little mistake by Peter Hubert? Is he actually on the pace of the man in front of him, Luke Lucchese?
I think so. I actually think he is, because as we said earlier on, this driver-car combination suits this track. And I don't think Lucchese is going to clear him that quickly. It has gone from 4.2 to 4.5. And a PB there for Swiss Hubert in that second position. So yes, Peter Hubert certainly going after Lucchese, but it is about 4.5 seconds between the two of them, and he's going to have to go somewhat, otherwise it's going to get to 4.6 and even 5.
So 23 minutes in times that gives you 46. So we are now on halfway. The whole thing is going to become quite clear, Frankie, when Johan Fourie comes into the pits and he comes out. Where does Luke Lucchese fit into it at that stage of the fight? Where does Peter Hubert, oopsie, he's obviously pushing very hard. So where does Francois Hubert and Willem Botha fit into the picture at that stage of the fight? I'm going to guess Johan Fourie is going to go into the pits, come out, he will be up front. Then it will be Luke Lucchese. When Francois Hubert comes out, he's going to be in third position. And then behind that is probably going to be Piri Hubert just ahead of Sways Hubert. That's just my prediction. Let's see how that one plays itself out. Stephen McCarthy's getting close on the back of Ian Riddle.
Yeah, that fight is getting tense between the two of them. And don't forget about Herman Lazarus, 1-3, 137, 144. He has got the red mist down as free. And we're approaching 25 minutes. I think any time from now onwards, if Fourie is going to hit pit lane, he'll do it then, or any time from now. But then I think Francois Hubert, Willem Botha, Sways Hubert, Sander Macari, Raymond Duggan, Stanton, they will all work their way into the pits. I think they're basically waiting to see exactly what Fourie's going to do. And then whatever he does, they will probably do as well.
Well, if you have a look on the track map on the right-hand side, number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4, number 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10, none of them, well, except for the third place car, Willem Botha, he's got two back markers behind him, the 15th and 16th position, which is Jaco Steyn and Eugene Manouk. That won't be a problem to get past. Jaco Steyn, lots of experience. Eugene will not stay in the way. So it's pretty much open ground for all of them. Johan Fourie, the fastest man out there, a 137, 144. And he's obviously now, you'll probably find, Frankie, that him being the man that he is, he's done the mathematics and he knows what he's got to do to come out ahead of Luc Lucchesi and Piri Hubert, both of which have been into the pits already. Does he come in? No, he doesn't come in yet. Why? For the first time ever, is Johan Fourie not one of the first people to come into the pits? What does he know that the others don't?
Well, I'll tell you what I've noticed about these radical SR8 sports cars. They're like very big carts, and they are lovely to drive. I think the drivers are enjoying these things out on circuit. They are oversized carts, and if you love a kart, then I think you'll drive these things very, very easily. And I think Johan Fourie is just having a total ball out there. These things stick to the track like you can't believe it, with a 136.984 for Johan Fourie.
That is very, very quick. Raymond Duggan up into the 6th position, and that just behind Sandra Macari. Here comes Timothy Stanton being closed down by that man, Luc Lucchesi.
Yeah, bit of damage on the wing there of Timothy Stanton's car. Here comes Lucchesi, 1.5 behind him. A PB for Stanton, 138.3 and a 137.1 for Lucchesi. So Luc Lucchesi is busy eating up this racetrack. The only man quicker than him out there is Johan Fourie.
As you can see, yep, well picked up, Frankie. There is a bit of damage on that wing. Let's see if we can see exactly where that damage came from. Did he touch it up against the barrier at some point? Probably. It's the only way that you can bend it around like that. No. Ah, that's where it happened. That's where it happened. How much does that affect the pace of that motor car? Well, he's busy finding out right now. Herman Lazarus closing up once again on the back end of Ian Riddle.
Yeah, Ian Riddle's not having an easy time, as Herman Lazarus is right there on his case, as they're busy making their way through that tricky little right, left, right, and then you go back into another tricky section that is approximately halfway through the lap. It gets very technical, but here is Luc Lucchesi. Lucchesi a second behind Timothy Stanton. Now it's just under a second behind Stanton, and Lucchesi working his way around is looking for that P7.
Yeah, you would have thought FC's here with us, with Luc Lucchesi looking for that position. Well, given the latest lap times out there, Timothy Stanton a 38.7. A 38.0, only 3/10 in it. Timothy Stanton's feeling the pressure. He's up the pace just a little bit. Can he hold out on Luc Lucchesi? I don't think he'll want to get involved in too much of a fight as Ian Riddle goes into the pits, because he knows that Luc Lucchesi's already been into the pits once. Does Luc have to go in again? I stick with my prediction. I say lap number 3 of this 45-minute race. They're already on 18 laps on 29 minutes. I think Luc Lucchesi's got to go back in.
I think that Fourie's going to have to dive into pit lane now. He's done almost 30 minutes out of 45, and no, proves us all wrong and says no, off I go. A personal best there for Sway Schubert of a 137.798 in P4 as Yuan storms down into turn number 1. I think these drivers, as I said earlier on, are actually enjoying these cars. Right, somebody just gone into pit lane. P2 has gone into pit lane.
Yeah, that's Willem Botha. That was the passing maneuver Peter van der Spey did, and that on Ian Riddle. So from that fourth position, it's Willem Botha that's gone into the pits. There's Willem Botha in the pits. Where is Sandro Bakari? Here he comes. Where is Raymond Duggan? Just behind him. There he comes. He's going to come through as well. And then if he doesn't have to go back in the pits again, this is where the maneuvers start. It's Luc Lucchesi. He's past Timothy Stanton and Peter Hubert as well. He moves himself up into 6th position. But a pit stop is going to kill all his hopes out there. Where is Johan Ferry right now? There he is. The black number 1 with a green line around it. Frankie saying he thinks he's going to be coming in now. If he comes in now, what is the full time that he's going to have to lose in the slowdown, the stop, the get going up to pace again? How much will he lose? I think we're about to find out pretty soon. I would tend to think, Frankie, this is 66% of the way through. 30 minutes out of 45. Is he? Yes. All right, so Johan Ferry comes in. Where is Francois Hubert? Will he follow suit? I think he will.
He's going to have to.
No, he doesn't.
No.
He goes through. All right, so where's Swayce Hubert? There comes Swayce with the Oreo car. He's a long way further back. Johan Ferry into the pit lane. So here comes Swayce Hubert. Remember, Swayce has not been into the pits yet. Let's see, does he come in? No, he's going to go straight through as well. Let's have a look at the pit stops out there. Where is Johan Ferry? He's dropped down. Francois Hubert has gone to the front end of the field. Where is Johan Ferry? There he stands in the pits. Where is Swayce Hubert? He comes past Johan Ferry. Where's Sandro Bakari? In the pits. Where's Raymond Duggan? In the pits. Where's Luc Lucchesi? Is he going to come through? Yep, he comes up into the straight, and he's going to start making up a couple of positions. He will come up to there behind Johan Ferry. Keep in mind that the front two have not gone into the pits yet. So if Luc Lucchesi doesn't have to go in again, Johan Ferry from Luc Lucchesi, Timothy Stanton's got to go in. Peter Hubert in the yellow Pennzoil car will then move up into that possibly 3rd position.
So it's all game on you, but exit for Sandro Bakari and for Raymond Duggan. There you see them both work their way out onto the circuit, and they will join in P8 and 9, the two of them. Herman Lazarus has gone into the pits, pitting out of P10 as Lazarus. So let's have a look and see. Remember that the two Huberts up front, Francois and Swayce, have not made their pit stops yet. Surely Francois must dive in now. Yes, he's going to. Yes, he does. That means that Swayce Hubert and the Oreo car is going to have to follow suit, and that will play into the hands of Ferry and Lucchesi. Let's have a look. See, I cannot possibly see that Swayce would not make his way into the pits. Well, he's trying to, if he can find the pit lane entry and not bounce over the curbs. So that means Ferry and Lucchesi will be back in P1 and 2.
There's Johan Ferry coming through. Luc Lucchesi a bit of a distance behind him, but with a possible another stop. So there Johan Ferry goes through. Here comes Luc Lucchesi. Francois Hubert is on the pit exit. Is he going to beat him coming out? There comes Francois Hubert. Yep.
Yeah, he has.
Well, I think Luc realized who it was coming out because he flashed the headlights saying, yeah, Francois, look in your mirror. Here I am behind you.
But the thing is that Francois will be a little bit slow in the beginning. And if he's put on new rubber, that will count in his favor as Swayce Hubert makes his way out. Timothy Stanton is in the pits as well. Timothy pitted out of P7 as he is now in the pit area. So 34 minutes done of the 45, and Johan Ferry is 5 seconds ahead of Swayce Hubert, who's 2.5 seconds ahead of Luc Lucchesi.
Oh, it's going to be a lovely battle. Luc Lequesne on Francois Joubert. And I think nothing will make Francois happier to have a battle with his 6-hour teammates. The two of them always going out and doing the enduro races together. But I think Francois Joubert will be hoping that Luc has to actually go in and do another pit stop, having had his pit stop on lap number 3. Pity Joubert not completely out of it yet. There he comes in the background. There's Pity Joubert. And he finds himself now 7 seconds. So from 3 up to 7 seconds, eventually behind Luc Lequesne. Willem Botha rounds out the top 5.
There's big gaps between the guys now. There's nearly 6 seconds between Pieter Joubert and Willem Botha. The only real fight on track is that one there between Ian Riddle and Stephen McCarthy. 0.3 of a second between the two of them, having a go at each other for that 12th position. As Riddle is in P12, McCarthy is in P13. All over his back wing there is McCarthy on Riddle. And then behind them in P14 is Herman Lazarus, as these two still go one-on-one for that 12th position.
So Johan Fourie having started in pole position and leading the bout. Francois Joubert that's got himself up into that second position, 3 places up. Luc Lequesne off the front row of the grid goes one down onto that 3rd position, as does Pieter Joubert, as does Willem Botha. The question is out there, does Luc Lequesne have to go back into the pits again? Does Jaco Steyn have to go back into the pits again? And does Peter van der Spey have to go back into the pits again? Lap 1, 2 and 3 respectively was when they did their pit stops earlier on.
So keep an eye on this one. Ian Riddle has done a personal best of a 139.8 as he fights there with McCarthy. They did a 139.9. Lazarus was a 139.4. So even though Herman is nearly 10 seconds behind McCarthy, he was quicker out there than what Steve McCarthy was. Jaco Steyn is in the pits again. He's Steyn, and here comes Stephen McCarthy. Stephen McCarthy, Ian Riddle, they are absolutely side by side, and McCarthy is there ahead of Riddle, so they have changed positions. McCarthy makes the move there on Riddle.
Frankie, just look at the significance. Remember, Jaco Steyn was one of 3 people that went in early on. Jaco Steyn was lap number 1, Peter van der Spey was lap number 2, Luc Lequesne was lap number 3. Jaco Steyn has been forced to come in again. There's still 7-8 minutes to go. If you see a situation now where Peter van der Spey presently in 10th position and 17 seconds off the back end there of Timothy Stanton, if he comes into the pits in the next lap or so, that means that Luc Lequesne has got a problem. It's called a pit stop.
Yeah, but Raymond Duggan's got a problem. It's called Timothy Stanton, as less than a second, under a second between the two of them for that 8th position. And Duggan sits there in P8, Stanton in P9, 0.8 of a second between the two of them, fighting for that 8th position. Timothy Stanton and Duggan. Francois Joubert, just by the way, has done a personal best of a 137.437. Everybody's done 1 pit stop. Jaco Steyn has done 2, and sadly out of this race is Eugene Manouk and Robbie Teams.
Yeah, Robbie Teams. I don't know what happened to Robbie Teams. It must have been right at the beginning that something went wrong for Robbie Teams, because we haven't even mentioned the comeback kid's name during the course of this race. Let's just go and have a look a little bit further back. Maybe I can track that one for you, what actually happened to Robbie Teams. There must have been a lot of damage on the motor car that he couldn't go any further. And, well, we lost him right near the beginning of the race.
Renier Joubert in that 11th position, right there with Peter van der Spey in P10, and that's a fight for the final position in the top 10. Peter van der Spey currently in that P10, Renier Joubert in P11, just out of that, 0.7 of a second between van der Spey and Joubert. And there is a big gap between Van der Spey and Stanton. There's like 17 seconds, but Stanton in P9 only 8/10 of a second off Raymond Duggan, so that little fight is not concluded yet, as we are approaching the 5-minute mark.
Wow, it's been very interesting. I was lucky enough on Monday night to be able to go out there and practice with the guys, and I can very much tell you, as Frankie referred to this as a go-kart on steroids, pretty much what it is. Lots and lots of power underfoot. If you put your foot down in second gear, you have to be in a reasonably straight line, or you're going to be swapping ends with this motor car. That's why you'll see that some of the guys are short-changing and getting it up into third gear and then feeding it in from there to try and get good drive coming out some of these corners, because the cars have got lots and lots of power. They're actually pretty stable under braking. The standard setting is 53% front brake. Willem Botha, right towards the end of the session, he PM'd me on the sideline and he said, go to 57%. I went to 57%, climbing the brake and just locked up the front brakes. Went down to 56 and found that to be a pretty good balance. So you find a lot of the guys are running pretty heavy front brakes. You haven't yet, Frankie, seen somebody locking up the back and spinning around. You've seen the guys spinning around under too much power too quickly, but it looks like that higher percentage on the front brakes makes them pretty stable. But then you've got to be very acute on that brake pedal to make sure you don't lock it up and just run straight.
Yeah, these cars are very nervous, so if you stomp on the gas too quick, you're going to do a swapper. And that is mainly, as Gary said, why these guys were spinning themselves around, not due to brake issues. So Johan Fourie, 4 seconds ahead of Francois Hubert. And, well, this is a replay of Stephen McCarthy coming through the second last corner and going into the final corner. And once again, slams into the pit entry wall. But that is due to being too quick on the loud pedal.
Yeah, there was something slightly different to what everybody else had experienced. There was generally just before the apex of the corner that there was problems. So Johan Fourie from Francois Hubert with 2.5 minutes to go. Luc Lequessy's closing 1.2 seconds. Luc Lequessy further back is Petit Hubert. So Petit Hubert will not be able to break into the top three. He is a long way further back, but he's also got a big gap. It's a long way back to Willem Botha rounding out the top 5 from that man, Swys Hubert.
But it's not finished for second position yet. Swys Hubert P2, Luc Lequessy P3, only 1.3 seconds between them. 3 minutes left on the clock, so it's quite possible for that third position to swap around, but it's going to be very, very difficult for Lequesy to get his nose ahead of Hubert. 137.2 plays a 137.1, so yes, Lequesy was quicker on that last lap, but not really by much.
No, definitely not enough to be able to close up. But then again, we know Francois Hubert, he's a very, very stable driver. He doesn't make mistakes very easily. And obviously him and Francois Hubert driving as teammates together, they won't go and mess up one another's races whatsoever. So I think Johan Fourie, having done it all right, he's within view, as you can see. He's just in front of the picture that we're on now. Johan Fourie will know that these two aren't going to take one another out whatsoever. He has got to remain consistent and stay ahead of them, because they won't take one another out. They will come and fetch him. Oh, look at that! Francois Hubert. Yeah, looks in the mirror. Here comes Luc Lequesy.
Well, once again, a little bit too eager on the accelerator, and that thing squirmed underneath him. You've got to be very careful by the looks of things going into that final corner.
And it's slipstream range now for Luc Lequesy. That move, that one lockup, Frankie, that could be the decider between the two of them.
Well, we're going to stay with this lot because there's now 4 seconds between Fourie and Hubert. It was 3.6 at one stage. It's gone up now to 4.1. So I think Johan has realized, listen, these guys are coming, and he's just pushing a little bit harder to try and get to that 4-second gap between himself and Francois Hubert. Also realizing that Francois has now probably gone into defensive mode, and that will in any case allow Fourie to disappear down the road, because right now his fight is not with Johan Fourie. it's with Luke Lucchesi to try and hold on to that second position.
Oh, Francois is on the ragged limit. There's going to be one more lap to go because they're on 44 minutes and 15 seconds. You can see where Johan Ferry is. He's going to go across the line just a little bit for his purposes too quickly. Closing off that inside line is Francois Joubert. Luke Lucchesi having a look around the outside. Where is he going to try and make the move? There's still 30 seconds to go. Johan Ferry is going to go across the line. That's the black number 1 that you see that goes across the line now.
Yeah, so he's going to have to do another lap. They're all going to have to do another lap as this fight for second and third comes through. And Francois Joubert will be saying, oh, really? To have to go around one more time, knowing that I've got Luke Lucchesi crowding the back end of my car. Lucchesi! What have you done?
He'll wait for Francois. He won't go further forward. He'll wait for Francois and you'll pull away. Well done.
Awesome,
well done.
Awesome sportsmanship. He realized that he made a mistake there. A trophy for good sportsmanship, if there was one, for Luke Lucchesi.
Yeah, no, that was brilliant stuff. But Peter Joubert, all of a sudden, 1.9 behind them. If there's damage on Luke's car, you see that yellow paint oil mean machine? He be a coming.
Well, it's not done yet. It's not done yet. As a matter of fact, Van der Spey and Reinier Joubert are having their own little fight out there. We'll just mention that because you've got to stay with this fight that's going around. There's really not much. It's now gone up to 1.7 between Van der Spey and Reinier Joubert. And then Stephen McCarthy is 0.8 of a second ahead of Herman Lazarus. So that little fight is not done yet. It's just gone over a second. It's hovering around there as we keep an eye on this, because Luke Lucchesi is coming right back again at Francois Joubert, and Peter is coming back at Lucchesi as the checkered flag comes out, and Johan Ferry wins this one by nearly 12 seconds.
Oh, that is brilliant stuff. Let's go back to Francois Joubert, and due to good sportsmanlike conduct, it's going to be Francois Joubert that will come through in second. It will be a third place for Luke Lucchesi. A brilliant drive by Peter Joubert coming through in that fourth position. Willem Botha, fifth. Very nice.
Yeah, nearly 13 seconds behind Peter Joubert is Willem Botha as he crosses the finish line now. And 8.7 seconds behind him in P6 is the Oreo car of Swiss Joubert, finishing his race, and he is just 3.2 seconds ahead of the Sunoco car of Sandro Bakari. Raymond Duggan coming through there in P8 for Rad Racing, and he will get to the line just ahead there of Timothy Stanton, followed by Peter van der Spey. That's got a little bit of work to do because behind him is Reinier Joubert, but Van der Spey has done enough to secure that final 10th spot with Reinier Joubert just in there behind him in P11. Ian Riddle will be the final driver on the lead lap in that 12th position in the DHL car as he comes around to take the checkered flag.
You realize how big that pit window was. Peter van der Spey going in lap number 2 did not have to go in again, and he made it all the way towards the end of the race, as did Luke Lucchesi that went in lap number 3 that made it all the way to the end. Brilliant stuff, I must say. That was a very, very nice race to watch, and we always enjoy watching the sports and GT guys when they are out there. So once again, Johan Ferry, multiple South African main circuit V8 champion, the man that's resident just a kilometer away from us up here in Plattekloof. He wins out from Francois Joubert and Luke Lucchesi. That's your privateer in Johan Ferry, the Just Race entry of Francois Joubert, and the race driver SA Backstage Pantera Racing of the recovery there from Luke Lucchesi.
Peter Joubert in P4.
Brilliant.
Yeah, that would be my driver of the day, nominee. Peter Joubert, well done. Willem Botha P5, and the top half dozen is round off there by Swiss Joubert.
I think that was a pretty good drive by Willem Botha. He was looking very strong, although he was 26 seconds off the front end of the grid eventually. But still, a good drive for Willem Botha. Pretty much where we would expect him to be in the front half dozen, as you say. The third one of the Huberts there, Swayze Hubert. Sandro Bakari, seventh, once again, getting himself into the top 10. Raymond Duggan just couldn't really get any higher up than 8th or ninth position all night long. It just didn't work for him in the qualifying. He didn't manage to put any extra pace onto it in the race either. A lowly result, it's still a very good result coming through in 8th, but I'm sure Raymond would be a bit disappointed with this round. It could have gone a bit better. Timothy Stanton put up some very good laps there and a nice recovery after that first lap incident from Peter van der Spey, rounding out the top 10.
And then Rainier Hubert and Ian Riddle round off the top 12, and it's only those 12 cars that were on the lead lap. Stephen McCarthy and Herman Lazarus 1 lap down, Jaco Steyn 13 laps down, and a DNF for Eugene Manouk and Robbie Teens.
Yeah, 28 laps, so that means Robbie Teens. I don't think Robbie Teens actually made it to the
I was going to say, it's not a DNF, it's a DNS.
Yeah.
He never got to the line.
Yeah, because I mean, that's a name that's normally there and thereabouts, around about where Sandro, Raymond, Timothy, where they are. That's probably where you would find that. To me, driver of the day, Frankie, Peter Hubert, no doubt. Sportsman of the day, Luc Lekesi. Who is also a possible driver of the day out there. You would expect Johan, Francois, Luc, Peter. I would say Willem Botha. I think he needs a bit of a thumbs up on this one as well. Coming up fifth, it's some big names in front of him. You can say, Peter Hubert, but Peter Hubert has become very, very quick of late and very consistent of late, and you expect him to be in, as you like to say, the front half dozen. Having said that, Frankie, that wraps up tonight Hungaroring in the Radical SR8s. Tell us a bit about what we can expect at Killarney International on Saturday.
Well, it's the following round of the Power Series at Killarney. All classes will be running except for, sadly, Sports and GTs are sitting out this one. There's always a class or two that sits out, and they won't be in for this one. But the last time they raced, they were part of the Extreme Festival. There were a couple of cars there. And the previous time they did the Wild Rose Gin, 100 kilometers.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's their time to say we taking a sabbatical and sit out for this one. But otherwise, all the other classes will be running with reasonably full fields.
Which means we're going to have a couple of these guys coming up to the commentary box and having a
I'm
chat
sure
with us.
Peter van der Spey will come up
yes,
and visit us.
Definitely, no doubt about it. So, going forward from here on out, from the month of April, how is the calendar going to work? The first Wednesday of the month, MSA GT3 series. The second Tuesday of the month, the Pro-Am series, the Porsche Cup. The third and fourth Wednesdays of the month is going to be, as you saw now, Western Province Sports and GT Masters. Included in that, every alternative Tuesday will be the Renault Clio Cup. The Renault Clio brought in the last 14 days in the beginning of season number 2 for iRacing for 2023. The Clio has been seen to be pretty popular. It's a pretty nice car to drive, pretty similar to the Polo, the way that it handles, just a little bit quicker than what that is. And a lot of the guys saying, we wouldn't mind doing something like that, and that's created a situation where on every alternate Monday we're going to be having that happening as well. The 6-hour races have been shortened to 4-hour races, and there will be 4 of them between now and the end of the year because of the fact that we've got the Clio Cup, we've got the West Province Sports and GT Masters, we've got the Pro-Am series with the Porsches, and we've got the GT3 MSA, 60,000 rands worth of prize money, and MSA accreditation at the end of 2023, having ticked all the boxes with IRSA/MSA South Africa in 2022. So that brings us onto what's going to be a full calendar for the next literally 4 months back to back. That wraps it up from my side, from the Second Gear Production Studios. Frankie, I'll leave it to you to close off the night.
Yeah, looking forward to the Porsche Cup and looking forward to the GT3 series. But just a quick one. The next time we do go sports and GT car racing, it will be at the Canadian Tire Park with Corvette C7s if everything stays according to plan for the car track combination.
There we go, folks. That's us, Flate Flate on Studios 8. We'll see you at a racetrack soon, very soon. Good night to you, one and all.